So in this section we are going to discussion about the install and troubleshoot the routers. Install router means not installing a software in a computer. Install a software means when you are installing physically router inside the network. So how many types are the routers and how you can install these routers, where and how the router will work. We will discuss all these things in this section. Edge means the router which is actually exists on the top of the network. Top of the network means any router which having one interface to the public facing. You can say this interface is connected with the public network. So public network will consider here the ISP, Internet Service Provider. Got it? ISP. But the another factor, one interface will connect with the local area network, or you can say LAN, either you can say the private network. So where to place? Router cannot be placed within the same network. Means if any network having the same subnet mask, then they cannot be used within the network. Same subnet mask means same subnet, like there is a 10.0.1.0/24, another is a 10.0.2.0/24. Both are the same network or different network, guys? Different, because 24 means these ID will be considered as a network. So these are the different number. So in this case, if any network with this IP address, any network with this network or subnet can be connected with the router, but same network or the same subnet cannot use a router. First thing. So another hand, the different IP network must be separated by a router, like this must be separated by the router. If the IP address is the 16 here, /16, when I will put the /16, it means both are in the same network, so cannot be separated by the router. Only the different subnet mask or different subnet or the IP network will use to the router for the communicating. So edge routers on the network perimeter, there is a two types of the edge routers are used. One is a customer edge router, another is a provider edge router. Like if any router exists in a ISP or the service provider router, when the edge router used by the ISP will known as a provider edge. But when a customer are using the edge router, it will be known as a customer edge. Both are the router, the lease line L1 or L2 types can be used the metro optical line, like fiber optical line, lease line, or the DSL or the cable can be connected in a one interface which is connected which is actually connected public interface. Another for the basic example is a SOHO class routers versus enterprises routers. Okay, this is very interesting question or very interesting thing when you go for the edge routers. Just search for the routers. Okay, once you will search on the routers, you can see the router which having the cost 4,228. Another router have the 73,479. Okay, and you will see there is a very high cost 92,000. Even you will find in a lakhs the value of the amount, the price of the router. So you can see there is a price of the router is 4000 only. And if you will search the TP-Link router, then you will see there is a very low cost you will find, like 2000 or 1500. It is not showing here, but it means there is a one router which have the very low cost. In other hand, the other router which have very high cost. So what do you think? What will be the difference? The difference based on their hardware configuration. Hardware configuration means including their RAM, including their processing speed, including their processor, including their availability, and the port numbers, like which port are used in a router. So we can say the simple thing is this: if router is a low cost, means low performance. If the router has the high cost, it means high performance. So high performance router you cannot use at your home. Like you are not going to invest the 75,000 rupees to buy a router at home. Can you spend? Of course no. Who will spend? Spend enterprise. Enterprise like HCL, IBM, Cisco, and much other companies, enterprises companies which are using the enterprises routers, and these routers having the high performance, because on these routers there are lots of the load of the data. You have a Soho network at your home or the small office network, where you are using the router 12, the price is 1200, 1500 or 2000 or 3000 maximum. So this is the difference between the routers. Even both router will be considered as a edge router, because if you are using a router at your home, one interface connect to the WAN, another interface connect with your LAN, local area network. So Soho network or Soho router also a edge router. Okay. So is there any other type of the router? Yes, internal routers. So internal routers actually using inside the organization, as its name is a internal router. Internal router means both interface connected with the LAN. Both interface are connected with the LAN. So now the question is this: why we need a router inside a organization? Even we can use a switch. Switch is a less cost with the routers. So why we are not using the switch? We can use, but of course, like /28. So what does it means? The 14 computer in this network. Like I have a HR office and there is a only 10 HR are working inside the one organization. So what I will do, I will make a separate network for them. That is another is a account department, where are only 5 person are working. Here is another department like admin or the technical department. There is another department which is processing team or production team, and there is 1,000 person are working. So inside the organization I want this network will be separated, this network will be separate, and this network will separate. All the network will be separated. But now question is this: if every network is separated, so why I need a router? Sometime we want to communicate between the two networks, either these to these, either these to these. Like yes, tech department required to manage all these network, so this is necessary to tech department can communicate with this network, and they can communicate with this network because there is a server also exists inside the network. So internal network is required to make a communication inside a single organization, or you can say the multiple subnet can communicate with each other with the help of the internal router. So this is the whole network is an interior network. This is the exterior network where the edge router or the firewall exists. One interface connected to the ISP, another is connected to the local or the internal router. Right. So is there any other method or any other way to use the internal router? Yes. We can use in other way to use the internal router. So what are the way where we can use these routers, or what is the use of the other use of the internal routers? Sub interface. So all of you know about the interface, like GIG 0/0/0. This is a interface. ETH 0. This is a interface. So what is the sub interface and what is the use of this sub interface? So sub interface will consider like ETH 0.1, .2, .3, .4, .5. When we are using the number, decimal number like 1, so after 1 you can use 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, 0.4. Either you can use 1.01, 1.02, 1.03. This is the decimal value. Okay. So similar, this type of the value can be used inside the interface, and these values are known as a sub interface. Now question is this, why we are using the sub interface? Like this is the one interface. One interface means like directly the cable is connected. The single cable is connected with the switch, and switch is connected with the multiple computer. As you know, the switch always used on the same domain. Means if there is 100 switch are connected and one switch have the 24 computers, so total computers are 2400. So all will consider in a same domain. So VLAN are used to creating a virtual LAN. VLAN are used to creating a virtual LAN. Virtual LAN used to create or make a LAN which is virtually are separated. Previously what we have seen image, in this image these are the separate network but having the separate subnet. Okay, and they are connected with the 3 interface of the router. Okay, but in a VLAN they are virtually separated. They are not real separated, they are virtually separated. It is called VLAN. So VLAN number 16, VLAN number 32, VLAN number 48. So different VLAN connected with the same switch. But these VLAN 16 cannot communicate with the VLAN 32. VLAN 32 cannot communicate with the VLAN 48. Only the computer, which computer are the part of the VLAN 16 can communicate with each other. The VLAN part of the VLAN 32 can communicate with each other, but they cannot communicate to other VLAN network. So it is required the sub interfaces like this VLAN 16 sub interface and these VLAN 32 sub interface, VLAN 48 sub interface, because all the data will go to the router, then router will forward data to the ISP, internet service provider. In other hand, if I want to make a communication between the different VLAN, then we need a sub interfaces. Okay, so these type of the sub interfaces are used, and the one network or one interface which is carrying all the VLAN data known as a trunk port. Known as a trunk port. So what are the trunk port and how can we use and how to configure, we will discuss later. But right now just understand what the sub interface can be used to make the communication between the different VLANs. Sub interface always used to make the communication between the different VLAN. That's it. Okay, per VLAN, per sub interface. And there is a one port, it is called a trunk port, which can carry all the type of the VLAN data. And there is a layer 3 switch. Layer 3 switch also can be used as a router, and you can create the multiple sub interface for the single interface. Okay. So how we can do the router configuration? Router do configuration we have done previously already. There is a one interface, it is called console port. It is actually management interface. Management interface means which interface available to access the command line interface of the router while using the console port. There is another type of the loopback interface. All of us know about the loopback interface. Then how to configure the router, giving the IP configuration. We have done the IP configuration. In the previous sessions already we know. And also we have enabled the RIP, dynamic routing and static routing. And in the static routing we have used the static route and the default route. Okay, static route and the default route. Routing protocol, there is a multiple routing protocol, but we have discussed how to configure the RIP. And later on we have used this command IP show route, which actually show IP route will show you the routing table inside the router. So yes, there is a inside your computer there is a routing table exists. Like the example is here, when you open the PowerShell and inside the PowerShell you need to run the root command. When you enter, you will see there is a lots of the option can be used with the route command. -F, -P, lots of the. And if you want to check the router root, then you can use this command root and print. ROT and print. It will print the root. So you can see lots of the roots are available. For the example here 0000000 sent to the default gateway. When you will use this destination address will be forwarded on the gateway. Generally all the network, all the route are forwarded to the gateway itself. When you have a big network, and then you can add the this route, static route you can add inside your computer. So this is the command to add the route. Route add network, subnet mask and the target IP address, then the metric 02. In a Linux, this command can be used to adding the network inside the Linux. Okay. Trace route, actually tracing the route. This command is used to tracing the route. For the example, this is your computer and I want to trace the route for the google.com. Okay. So this is the Google server. So now the question, how many routers in between these every router will reply to your computer like this. So it is called route, trace route, means tracing the route. Tracing the route means if I want to make the communication with the Google, so which route will be used and how many hop will be available, or how many hop is exist in between. It is called trace route. This is command is used for the tracing the route. Similar traceroute command is used in Windows and traceroute command is used in Linux. So for the example, if this is the route, this IP address, I am going to trace the route of this IP address. Okay guys, so what we have got when I run the traceroute command, we have got the available routes or the hops in between the server and the local. In between there is a multiple routers are used, and this is the IP address of the each router. Okay, same command I am using again. So you can see this is the IP address of the target machine. The target server is 216.58.200.206. Okay, so these can be used to getting the IP address, and all in between the available host will display here. Okay, so you can use this command on your system. Now if you are not able to get into the system or not able to make the communication your target machine, so there is a possibilities of the multiple issues may be possible. One is a missing route issue. Missing routes I have shown you in a previous session, like we have the missing route of the 10.0.4.0/24 on this router. So this router will not forward the packet to other router. So there is a possibilities of the missing route. So how you can identify the missing route? By using the ping command. Either use the traceroute or the traceroute command to identify where the network is failed. Another is checking the routing table. If routing table is exist, so check if the routing table have the static entry, then you will find out the missing entry. If any missing entry is exist there, so you can replace or you can make the new entry for the specific route. If there is a dynamic protocol like RIP, OSPF, EIGRP, so it is necessary they are making the communication or not, and they are creating the table or not. So you need to configure or have a look of this. Then check for the device configuration like DNS server, gateway server, have you provided or not. There is another possibilities of the issue is a routing loop. Routing loop means, for the example, on this router I have assigned the network 10.0.0.1 will be forward this router, and on this router I have done the same configuration. This packet will forward to this router. So in this case what happened, when the packet is reach on this router will forward on this router. Once router check the routing table, and then it will be forwarded to this router again. So what happened, this the loop has been created. So you will have to check for the issue by using the routing table, where you can find there is a 10.0 on the Z0 matrix 1 RIP, and 10.1.1 is for the G1. So what you can see here, the both route are not matching, because same route going to be out by the route 1 and another interface. Okay, so that is the problem, may be possible of the problem. So you can diagnose this problem or this issue by using the traceroute command. Traceroute is one of the most popular command in a networking or used for the network administration. So another is a asymmetrical routing issue. So actually asymmetric routing issue means when you are sending a packet or there is a forwarding path is there, but there is a no return path address. Means forwarding path is there but not a return path is there. So it is called asymmetric routing issue. Yesterday we have seen previous session when I am giving the entry and sending the packet, but it is not getting the back. Reason, this router don't have the return path. So inconsistency, latency or the security appliance dropping return packets, because when packet is coming back and there is this route don't have the route inside a routing table, so this router will discard the packet. So how you can analyze? You can analyze by using the traceroute command. Either you can investigate the routing tables available, the routers inside the network. This type of the issue actually available in a bands or inside the ISP. It is called low optical link budget issue. So it is considered the problem in a physical link layer or the data link layer issue when routing across the WAN. So there is a possibilities of the poor connectivity of the fiber link, because at the time of the creating link between the two devices or using two different connector, so there is a possibilities of the losing connector. In this case, this is going to be done the attenuation. Attenuation means like signal going to be weak or loss of the signals. So low budget express amount of the loss form of the attenuation in the form of the connectors possibilities and splice. How you can do it? You can do it by measuring the strength of the signals on every point. So loss budget must be the less than the power budget, transmit power or the receive the sensitivity. So these are the common issue. This issue is considered as a physical issue, but previously we have discussed about the issue which was the logical issue. Issue can be both physical or the logical, both type of the issue. So in this session we have discussed about the edge routers, internal routers, their configurations, and the route command, traceroute and traceroute command, and possible available issues inside the network if you are not able to reach the remote system. So there is a possibilities of the missing route issue or the routing loop issues. Asymmetrical routing issue also exists, and physical issue also available for the low optical or the link budget issue.